Madam Speaker, 4 Christian missionaries were recently arrested for disorderly conduct. What was their behavior that got them arrested? These 4 Christians were peacefully handing out the Gospel of John outside an Arab cultural festival. Now, the festival was not a private or even a Muslim event. It was an Arab festival, free and open to the public. A video shows the Christian group that included a former Muslim outside about a block away from that event. They were standing quietly on the corner handing out Bibles when they were arrested by no less than 8 police officers. Now, under Sharia law, it is forbidden to preach Christianity to a Muslim. But, Madam Speaker, these discriminatory arrests against Christians did not occur in a Muslim country. They occurred in Dearborn, Michigan. The First Amendment of our Constitution safeguards freedom of speech and freedom of religious expression, even for Christians. Maybe the police in Dearborn, Michigan haven't read the Constitution. These arrests are shameful, whether the police in Dearborn, Michigan like it or not. And that's just the way it is.
This is not your grandparents' America, with headlines like the following exclusive WorldNet Daily story about a man who was found guilty of passing out books of the Bible. WorldNet Daily reported that the pastor was arrested for handing out Bibles from a public sidewalk. The so-called crime of giving away the books of John and Romans occurred near an Islamic center in Wichita, Kansas. Pastor Mark Hollick was found guilty and sentenced to a $300 fine, a year probation, and ordered not to be within 1,000 feet of the Islamic center in the future. In court, Pastor Hollick of Spirit One Christian Center declared, "Wichita, you are confused. I am not your enemy. Islam is. Thou shalt have no other gods before me." So, if you thought it was safe to exercise your First Amendment right to freedom of speech and freedom of religion in the new America, you may have thought wrong.
All right, check out this website. 4 Christian missionaries were at an Arab festival over in Dearborn, Michigan when they had a huge run-in with police. They said they did nothing wrong. They were just handing out copies of the Gospel of John, but police cuffed them, arrested them for disorderly conduct. And you're seeing what happened. Joining us right now, one of the men who was arrested, David Wood, and his lawyer, Robert Muse, is also here. He's over in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Welcome to both of you. First off, David, why were you there working the camera?
I was there to have discussions, to discuss anything that anyone wanted to discuss. We like having conversations with Muslims. My friend Nabil is a former Muslim, and so we were there to engage in dialogue. And I noticed when we were there, since Nabil's a former Muslim, more people wanted to talk to him, so I just sort of stepped back and held a camera.
So you watched, you recorded it, and it was taken away from you, and you were jailed, and you were out. You were charged with breach of peace. When he walked over there, Robert, I guess he did disturb the peace for the Arab festival. They were not happy Christians were showing up. Were they wrongly charged, in your mind?
The Christians were the ones that were charged, and you know, it's interesting, it wasn't the Christians that were breaching the peace, it was the hecklers, the Muslims who were actually making threats to them, who were shouting profanity. And the constitutional response for the police department is not to silence the peaceful speaker, the Christians, but to silence the hecklers. And what the police did here is they essentially effectuated the heckler's veto, and that's a problem. And instead, what we have now, we have 4 Christians who were locked up and spent an evening in the jail for doing nothing more than expressing their religious beliefs. You know, in our country, we're not governed by Sharia law, we're governed by the Constitution, and we have a First Amendment that protects those rights.
And David, from your understanding, you're just exercising freedom of speech, right?
Yes, and actually, to be clear, I wasn't even speaking at all, and 3 out of the 4 of us who were arrested weren't speaking at all. We were standing there recording or listening. Only one of us was actually speaking, and we were all arrested.
Right. Is this more, were they adhering to Sharia law in their arrest? Because it doesn't seem to be going by our Constitution.
Well, I guess that was my point. Again, our Constitution protects the right to free exercise of religion, the right to freedom of speech. And under Sharia law, you don't have those particular rights. You know, it's probably not a coincidence that in a city where you have the largest Muslim population in the United States, that you have police who are persecuting Christians. You know, and this pattern of conduct has got to stop. You know, the Law Center, the Thomas More Law Center, we consider ourselves the sword and shield for people of faith, and we're breaking out the shield right now to defend these criminal charges, but we're also going to pull out the sword, and there will be a civil rights action.
Robert Muse will follow this. David Wood, thanks for joining us.
Romans chapter 1, verse 18, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. Because what may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes are clearly seen. Sir, I'm going to keep reading. You need to do what you're going to do.
You need to go someplace else.
For since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even His eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Jesus, who is called Christ, they all said to Him, "Let Him be crucified." Then the governor said, "Why? What evil has He done?" But they cried out all the more, saying, "Let Him be crucified." When Pilate saw that he could not prevail at all, but rather a tumult was rising, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, "I am innocent of the blood of Jesus, this just person. You see to it." And all the people answered and said, "His blood be upon us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas to them, and when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified.
Once you give him the book, you're under arrest.
What have I done wrong?
You're not allowed. You can find it back. You've been asked.
Tell me what it is that I've done?
Absolutely, I will.
Give me a,
Absolutely, I will. You've been asked to leave, and you did.
Folks, this is what the United States is coming to.
You can preach on
You can
your
stand here and
own
talk about
property.
anything you want, but you can't talk about the Bible.
Let's not turn around. You can preach on your own property. You can preach on the street corner, but you're not allowed to preach here because this is a captive audience. They're standing in
The
line.
Bible says
They
everyone,
want
the
to do
devil is
this.
holding everyone captive to do his will, folks. It doesn't matter who I talk to, they're all captives. Including this
Nice
police
idea.
officer. No, sir, no. Repent and trust in Jesus Christ. Judgment day is coming, folks.
Where's my security guy?
What is he arrested for?
You guys, I'll tell you guys in a second. You're with them?
Yeah.
Do you want to go too?
If you want to arrest us, you can arrest
Do you
us.
want to? You're giving you the option. You can leave.
Are we breaking the law?
You are if you preach.
What if we preach?
Yes. Do you want to leave or do you want to be arrested?
For preaching, what law is that? I want to know.
I'm going to ask you one more time.
I'm not preaching.
You've been
any
asked
law.
to leave.
Officer,
Give us the
we're
law.
asking you the law.
Are these guys preaching too?
No.
All right.
Sir, what law was he breaking?
I'll meet you inside.
Hey, officer, I think you're breaking the law. Hey, Mark.
The San Juan Capistrano couple is under fire and headed to court for hosting Bible studies in their home. The city says the gatherings are illegal. Tonight, CBS 2's Jeff Nguyen spoke with the couple at the center of the controversy.
In a quiet corner of San Juan Capistrano sits a home that City Hall calls a house of worship. And city leaders want the homeowners to stop their regularly scheduled sessions of Bible study.
We're just gathering and enjoying each other's company and fellowship, and we enjoy studying God's Word.
The couple has been hit with 2 citations recently, adding up to $300. And if they continue, the fine could go up to $500.
There was no telephone call, knock on the door.
The Froms say the city is requiring them to get a conditional use permit in order for them to continue with their meetings. But doing so will take money because it requires traffic and environmental impact reports and making their home accessible to wheelchairs.
This is also about a city trying to get a family to pay fees and pay money to them just to be able to have friends over to read the Bible.
Officialdom in the county said the couple were singled out because it's considered illegal to hold a regular gathering of more than 3 people on private property. Officials stated that the Froms require a license to hold such meetings in their home. San Juan Capistrano authorities claim home Bible study is not allowed because it is a church, and churches require a conditional use permit in residential areas. The Froms face additional fines of $500 per meeting for any further religious gatherings in their home, according to Pacific Justice Institute. The city's action is a brazen violation of the First Amendment, which guarantees free worship without government intervention. This is our religious freedoms being stripped from us in America, folks. It's on every major news report. If you see here, this is CBS Los Angeles News. Orange County couple threatened with $500 per meeting fines for home Bible study. This is very important to dig into and find out, and call your local authorities and do something about this, because Jesus said, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. They're saying that if more than 3 people gather, you have to pay a fine.
Occurred near an Islamic center in Wichita, Kansas. Pastor Mark Hollick was found guilty and sentenced to a $300 fine, a year probation, and ordered not to be within 1,000 feet of the Islamic center in the future. In court, Pastor Hollick of Spirit One Christian Center declared, Wichita,
Muslim country, they occurred in Dearborn, Michigan. The First Amendment of our Constitution safeguards freedom of speech and freedom of religious expression, even for Christians. Maybe the police in Dearborn, Michigan haven't read the Constitution. These arrests are shameful, whether the police in Dearborn, Michigan like it or not. And that's just the way it is.
This is not your grandparents' America, with headlines like the following exclusive WorldNet Daily story about a man who was found guilty of passing out books of the Bible. WorldNet Daily reported that the pastor was arrested for handing out Bibles from a public sidewalk. The so-called crime of giving away the books of John and Romans.
Madam Speaker, 4 Christian missionaries were recently arrested for disorderly conduct. What was their behavior that got them arrested? These 4 Christians were peacefully handing out the Gospel of John outside an Arab cultural festival. Now, the festival was not a private or even a Muslim event. It was an Arab festival, free and open to the public. A video shows the Christian group that included a former Muslim outside about a block away from that event. They were standing quietly on the corner handing out Bibles when they were arrested by no less than 8 police officers. Now, under Sharia law, it is forbidden to preach Christianity to a Muslim. But, Madam Speaker, these discriminatory arrests against Christians did not occur in a